Lockdown has seen people go to quite extreme lengths in order to get what they want. For some, the idea of staying home and waiting for all this to pass isn't such a big deal. For others, one day of being locked up in their homes is enough to make them want to escape their newfound living hell. Either way, to say that these unprecedented times have led to people doing things they likely normally wouldn't do, it's pretty accurate. And that is exactly what happened to Dale McLaughlan, who has been sent to jail for a month after breaking coronavirus lockdown protocols. I'm gonna tell you guys all about Dale's unlikely journey right now in InformOverload, but before I do, make sure you guys smash that like button. Or maybe you'll end up in jail too. I don't know. Try it and see what happens. Alright, so Dale McLaughlan. This guy really must have been love-struck, because it seems we found ourselves the real-life Jack and Rose from that Titanic, minus the heartbreaking ending. In fact, this story doesn't involve a ship of any kind, nor does it resemble the story of the Titanic at all. But it does include a lengthy journey across the sea using a jet ski, so that's kind of like the Titanic. And although what he did is being considered extremely reckless, selfish, and dangerous, I will say I admire his commitment and drive to get what he ultimately wanted. But you guys may feel differently. McLaughlan is a construction worker from North Ayrshire, Scotland. And in September, he legally worked on the Isle of Man, which is where he would meet his girlfriend, whom he just couldn't wait to see any longer again. So naturally, as any of us would do, McLaughlan decided he was going to make the trek from his home to the Isle of Man to see his girlfriend, even if it meant crossing the Irish Sea on a jet ski, which, may I add, he'd never been on before. Let me tell you guys, love can make you do some crazy things. It seems Dale here just figured the entire trek would take him about 40 minutes total. Yet when all was said and done, his trip would take him about 4.5 hours, which included 12 miles of walking, as well as a search and rescue mission along the coast. And if risking your life to see your girlfriend traveling across the Irish Sea on a jet ski and barely making it isn't enough, he would end up in jail for breaking COVID protocols on the island he was so desperately trying to visit. After driving 70 miles from his home, McLaughlan took off from the Isle of Whitthorn around 8 AM on December 11th. Reports are claiming that he bought the jet ski the previous day and had no prior driving experience. Aside from this, reports are also claiming he doesn't know how to swim. Okay, so this guy took a jet ski, which he's never rode before, across a massive sea in freezing cold weather, knowing he can't swim, to see his girlfriend, whom he met 3 months prior. Love, man. Let me tell ya. And somehow, someway, he managed to achieve his goal of reaching the Isle of Man around 1 PM with only 10 minutes left of fuel in his jet ski. So this really is a fairy tale. However, there isn't such a happy ending. After making his way to the island, which is a miracle in itself, Dale then had to walk for 12 miles to the island's capital, Douglas, where he would knock on his girlfriend's front door. Imagine the look on her face when she saw him. At the time, she had no idea this guy risked his life and traveled hours to see her. So the two of them decided to just go for a night out on the town. Had she known he did what he did, they probably would have ordered in, maybe a little Netflix and chill, but instead they went out. Taken to a few bars, having dinner, drinks, and a grand old time, these two partied until 1:30 AM on December 16th. And it was about 16 hours later, in the evening of the 16th, that McLaughlan would be arrested for breaching the island's COVID regulations. Prior to leaving the UK, McLaughlan had to fill out a route planner with the Coast Guard, which included a return period. When he didn't return as planned, UK authorities had to launch a search and rescue mission and filed a missing persons report to all local police forces. This included a force on the Isle of Man, who were alerted of McLaughlan's arrival earlier in the week. After he confessed to his plan of illegally entering the country, he was charged and sentenced to 4 weeks in jail. And as much as I want to be all for the idea of love, given that I am a hopeless romantic, this was an incredibly reckless move. Aside from risking his own life, the island has strict COVID protocols for a reason. And given that they're on an island, it's likely they've been able to manage the spread decently well. Dale here coming over in the name of love, well, it's just not gonna fly. Isle of Man Chief Minister Howard Quayle released a statement regarding the situation. He said, I quote, "Our community has worked together to contain and eliminate the virus to protect those most vulnerable to COVID-19. So I was astonished to learn that someone had traveled from the United Kingdom to the Isle of Man by jet ski at the weekend, breaching our border restrictions. This individual arrived on the island with no exemption notice or entry permit and failed to declare their arrival or to self-isolate. This individual was aware of the law and showed a flagrant disregard when they chose to break it, mixing in with the community and potentially putting lives at risk. I hope this sends a strong signal to others who do not take our laws seriously or who are mistaken in thinking that the rules do not apply to them." Although McLaughlan did apply for numerous permits to legally visit the island, all attempts were rejected, which led to him making his trek across the sea. And now he's going to be spending the next 4 weeks in jail, meaning he won't be with his family or his girlfriend during the holidays, and all because of the name of love, which really, I mean, that's just a shame. I also hope that his girlfriend does end up staying with him and doesn't see this as like a stage 5 clinger situation, because, you know, going through all that trouble to end up in jail and have her dump you would really be a brutal way to end the year. but maybe it'll make him think twice about his actions. Who knows? As always guys, let me know your thoughts on this one down below. What's the craziest thing you ever did for love? Mine was believing she felt the same way. Alrighty then. For now, let's reply to some comments from the video, celebrities that are mean in real life. And it's a little marathon we did for you guys, so let us know how you guys enjoy these marathons. Jose said, Ellen is so evil, she has her own dungeon for people. That is a wild claim. Like, one thing to say she's not a nice person, another thing to say she has a dungeon for people. Dungeons are for like slaves. Like you're saying she literally locks people up in like a jail of her own? That's kind of... I'd believe it. Megan Z said everyone needs to stop idolizing certain celebrities. I agree. I don't understand why some celebrities even have the amount of success that they do. I'm not even hating, but like, for example, Kendall and Kylie Jenner. What do? They're models? They're influencers? They're just the daughter of someone that's rich? Like what do they do? What's their talent? What's their skill? They're just attractive? Look, I don't get it. Wayne Tastic said just because you got buck doesn't mean you should act up. That I agree with. The unfortunate thing is, the reality is, people have a hard time accepting this, but money does make the world go round, and if you have a lot of money, odds are you could do things that a lot of people can't do. And I don't mean that in the sense of like money is freedom, I mean like illegal stuff. Because when you have money, eventually you can just, you know, we've seen it before. Rich people just get away with things. That's just the way it goes. Sharoon said there is always two sides to every story, so let's keep that in mind. Very important. Look, maybe you met a celebrity on a bad day and then that just spread like wildfire and you're like, they were rude because of this. You don't know what they're going through. People seem to forget that celebrities, musicians, actors, anybody in the spotlight, they're human too. So when you're having a bad day and you don't want to talk to somebody, think about that from a celebrity's perspective. Maybe they got bad news. Maybe they're dealing with the sudden loss of someone, a family member, you know, who knows? They don't always have to be on. Although I do say you should appreciate your fans and supporters, at the same time everyone's human, you could have an off day. So important to keep that in mind. Anyways guys, I've been your host Jared Bronstein, hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you soon.